Meanwhile, 1 week until South Carolina, and the big question is this the establishment's last stand? Kasich, Bush, Rubio, they're all duking it out. No sign that any of them are willing to drop out. Caitlin Huey-Burns, a brokered convention. Looks like that's a possibility, huh?
Well, I think this is going to be a long fight for the Republican nomination. New Hampshire provided us with little clarity heading into South Carolina, and you have several different rivalries going on in the Palmetto State right now. You have Bush and Rubio hoping to make a comeback there. Each path forward relies on taking one another out, in a sense. You also have Donald Trump leading the pack, Ted Cruz vying in South Carolina, hoping to motivate and mobilize conservatives there. So it really is just a scramble, and it's hard to see the end of the road at this point.
But I do want to get back to this notion of a brokered convention. Now, a couple of weeks ago, Kasich had a real bad debate performance. I thought perhaps if there really is this one monolithic establishment, this evil, evil sort of contingent of billionaires who want to protect their turf at the expense of all of America, they would have called everyone in the room and said, hey, Kasich, and we need you, Christie, and everyone else to drop out so that perhaps Rubio could win New Hampshire and take the momentum away from Trump and Cruz. That hasn't happened. Now we've got all of these guys who feel like they can win it. And the irony, of course, is that the longer they all stay in, the more likely none of them will win it.
Right, and it only provides fuel for Trump with all these other candidates splitting up the vote. As we saw in New Hampshire, debates can help change this race. We're going to have another debate on Saturday night in South Carolina. I'm so interested to see whether that changes any of the dynamics here. But the reason why a lot of these people want to stay in this race is because they have this why not me mentality. And it's served by the fact that this race has changed in many times over the course of the campaign. So none of these candidates at this point see a reason to drop out maybe until after South Carolina. But even then, they're looking further down the road at winner-take-all states. Remember, we're still in the proportional vote primary at this point. John Kasich, for example, is pledging to continue on through at least the Midwest, hoping to go through at least his home state of Ohio on March 15th, competing in Michigan as well on March 8th. So this is going to be a long fight.
Well, these are the scenarios that I've heard, conspiracy theory, if you will. Kasich is hanging around so that he maybe can pick up a few things, maybe Michigan, Ohio. And then at the brokered convention, throwing his lot with Donald Trump. That's your ticket right there, Trump and Kasich. Not necessarily a far-fetched scenario.
Sure.
On the other end of the spectrum is we're hearing that the establishment that we talked about earlier, no matter what, will find a way to get one of their guys into the nominee, to get them the nomination if it's brokered, even if Donald Trump is clearing away, winning most of the states and most of the delegates. How likely any of those scenarios?
Sure. I mean, it's always a reporter's dream to have a brokered convention. I think there's a lot of talk about a contested convention because there really aren't many brokers left in the Republican Party at this point. What I found was so interesting this week was that the Marco Rubio campaign was leaving open the possibility of this race going to a brokered or contested convention. So that just goes to show that people like Rubio and others aren't willing to give up the fight just yet, regardless of the results in South Carolina.
Before I let you go, tell me about another one of my, I don't know, theories here. At this debate, I think Donald Trump is going to try to pull a page from Newt Gingrich, who was able to usurp the religious evangelical vote from Santorum when he took on the media early and strong and powerful at that debate. Could you see something like that happening?
I could. Anything can happen at these debates, and 2012 is actually a really good example of that. Also, what's interesting is Donald Trump is going hard after Jeb Bush and George W. Bush, who will be campaigning in the state for his brother on Monday. And he's hoping to rev up his own supporters that way. So that's an interesting fight to watch, and I'm sure we'll see some of that in the debate.
All right. Thank you very much. We covered a lot of ground. Really appreciate it. See you again real soon.
Thank you.
Hey.